Hello and welcome back everyone for your favorite chess YouTube channel, Chess Sensei. So we all know that the key on starting a chess game successfully is playing an opening that doesn't focus on the development of your pieces, but also puts your opponent under pressure, and that's why gambits are perfect for this. That's why in this video we are going to discover traps to win fast with the Danish Gambit. Now first of all, what is the Danish Gambit? So the Danish Gambit starts after e4, e5, and white plays pawn to d4, which is the center game. So here black takes on d4, and then we play pawn to c3, and black takes on c3 again, and here we neglect all of these pawns and play bishop to c4, and let black grab the second pawn and take on b2. But after bishop takes b2, look at these two bishops are completely crushing on these both diagonals, and this is the logic behind we are playing this gambit. So the first line we are going to see, which black plays pawn to d6. Black wants to play knight to f6 basically, but he doesn't want to run into e5. So here we continue developing normally with knight to f3, and let's say black plays bishop to g4, which is our first trap. After bishop to g4, we want to sacrifice our bishop on f7. You want to keep your vision on this tactic because I see it repeats itself. So here after king takes f7, we don't want to play knight g5, of course, because the queen is covering the g5 square. So here we want to play knight to e5, delivering a check, forking the king and the bishop, and black can't take our knight because his queen will be hanging on d8. So here black is forced to go back to e8, and now just knight takes g4, and white has regained one pawn, and white has got a crushing attack as the black king now can't castle, and white is ready to castle. Next move, play f4 and e5 and just open the center and win. So let's come back to our main position after c takes b2 and bishop takes b2. Now here black also can play knight to c6, and after knight to c6 we wanna develop normally with knight to f3, and after black tries to develop normally with knight to f6, here we wanna keep the initiative and try to always punch black in their face, and here we wanna play pawn to e5 to put the question on this knight: where are you going? Are you going to really drop back? And well, he will say no, I will put my knight on the center. And here we can see that the same theme repeats again with bishop takes f7, and after king takes f7, queen to d5 check, and after king to e8 we regain our piece and we just won a pawn, and our queen is centralized on the center. And here the next moves are just going to be castle and play knight to c3, knight to d5, and just checkmate this black king easily. So the third trap we have, after bishop to b2, then black might play queen to g5. Now queen to g5 is actually a mistake, and why it is a mistake? Because we can just play knight to f3 and ignore the fact that the g2 pawn is attacked. So here after black takes the pawn on g2, we wanna attack the queen at the same time we are saving our rook. So here queen to h3 is the only move, and now we want to take again the pawn on f7. What is the logic behind this move? That if black takes the bishop on f7, then we will have knight to g5 and the lady will be lost on h3. So black can't take on f7. So here black is forced to play king to d8, and here there is a really nice move, which is rook takes g7. And after rook takes g7, we are sacrificing an exchange, but if black takes it, then here we are going to recapture with our bishop. Both the rook and the knight is going to be hanging, and white will just win the game easily. So let's come back and say black didn't take. Then here white is attacking the knight twice with the rook and the bishop, so black might be scared from taking the rook, so he is going to go knight to e7 to save his knight. But now we have the double attack, which is rook to g3, hitting the queen but also hitting this rook with our bishop, and we will win material and win the game easily from here. Okay, let's come back to our main position after bishop takes b2. Now there is this annoying move, which is actually the most played one, which is bishop to b4. Black is giving a check, also moving his bishop, which is defending the g7 pawn. So here currently we can't take the pawn on g7. So here, how to block this check? Now there are a couple of ways to do this. There is knight to c3 and there is knight to d2, and I am going to show you traps in both cases, so make sure to stick around to get ready for this. So here there is knight to d2, and after knight to d2 then black plays knight to f6, getting his knight out. And here remember, the same theme repeats itself. We want to play pawn to e5 to kick away this knight. Now black can play knight to e4 and say, okay, now you are pinned. Now you no longer have bishop takes f7, as your queen can't jump magically to d5 and win the knight. So here we yet again smash him with the same move, which is bishop takes f7, and after king takes f7, now at this time we don't want to win this knight on e4. We want to actually win this bishop on b4. So after king to d8 and queen takes b4, then we are attacking the knight. We're also defending our knight. And this is just a game over for black, as black king is still going to be weak in the center. And we regain our material deficit. So let's come back to our main position. After bishop to b4 check, here there is also knight to c3, which I will recommend you more than knight to d2, as it keeps the d file open for any sacrifices on f7 and playing queen to d5 check. So here black continues developing normally with knight to f6. Now in case if we wanted to push and black plays knight e4, this is completely fine, and I just showed you how to respond to that. So here there is also another line with knight to e2, just guarding our knight. And now you might be thinking, okay, you are sacrificing yet another pawn. Now what, black is up 3 pawns. But actually, in fact, you can see that the engine likes white's position. So if an engine likes white positions when white is down 3 pawns, then it is definitely worth trying it and worth playing it. So here, after he takes, then we just castle here. And here there is a couple of moves. There is knight takes c3, there is bishop takes c3, there is castles. Let's first look at knight takes c3. Now after knight takes c3, we wanna recapture with our knight, and here black is just castling, and actually castling is not considered to be a good move. And why is that? And it is because knight to d5 hitting the bishop, but not mainly hitting the bishop, it mainly opens up our bishop on b2 to hit the g7 pawn. Let's say that black just retreats his bishop to c5. What you would play on this position, you will play queen to g4 to try to threaten checkmate on g7 with the assistance of this bishop on b2, and this is really hard to stop. Like one sample variation is going to be pawn to g6, and after pawn to g6 then we are going to go queen to f4 to try to go queen to e5 and deliver a checkmate in this diagonal. But after knight to c6, you can see where this is going, which is after knight to f6, black is just forced to give away his queen, as if he played king to h8 or king to g7, I am going to show you the same theme, then we are just going to go queen to h6 to threatening a checkmate. And here again, the black queen will have to sacrifice herself for its own love. And after bishop takes g7, king to g8, then queen g7 is just a checkmate. Okay, so let's come back to our main position. After bishop to b4, and we play knight to c3, knight to f6, and knight to e2. And black captures the pawn and white castles. Now here in this position, black also might take on c3 with his bishop, and after we recapture, he might trade and get into this line, which is completely opening up our 2 bishops. And here in case of black castles, then again yet queen to g4 is actually a forced checkmate. Black can't really do much about it. We just saw that g6 how it fills, because now right now also we have queen to d4 and we checkmate him through the dark square. So let's go back, and let's say black here after this trade, he retreats with his knight. He says, you know what, I don't want any of these nonsenses, I will just retreat with my knight. And here we want to keep playing and attacking moves So here we want to play rook to e1 and deliver a check to this king on e8. Then king to f8 is forced, and now we want to play the same theme again, which is knight to d5, to just unleash this beast on b2. And after knight takes d5, then queen takes d5, we are threatening a checkmate, and actually black can't stop it because there is no queen to f6 because the bishop covers this, the bishop covers this, and also the rook covers the a file, so black can't defend the pawn on f7, and it is just a checkmate. So here let's take a look at also this line, which after black takes and black castles, then here knight to d5 is played, and after bishop to c5 there is this crazy move, also queen g4. I just showed you how you are winning, but in case you want to show off and make yourself look so much greater, then here there is this move, which is knight to f6, which is forces, of course, black can't take. And why he can't take? Because now queen to g4 is even more stronger. As king to h8, then there is queen to h4. We are threatening right now to take the pawn on f6 with the bishop and win the black queen. So maybe black is thinking, you know what, I will retreat back to defend my pawn on g7 and show me what you got. Then here you don't wanna consist on this bishop. We might also use the other bishop, right? And play bishop to d3, and actually it is a forced checkmate on the h7 pawn, as black can't do anything about it. After pawn to h6, we are going to take, and after king to g8, then queen to h7 is actually just a checkmate. So let's come back to our main position, and let's say here, instead of black taking on b2, black just plays knight to f6 and says, you know what, I don't really want your gambits, or I don't want free pawns. I just wanna play a normal game, a normal quiet game. Then here we are going to still go knight to e2 and let black take this pawn or this pawn. We don't really care. Take whatever you want. We just want an open center, and by these sacrificed pawns, then we are unleashing the center and opening up the center where we can attack black very easily. So here after knight takes e4, again we can see that the same theme repeats itself with bishop takes f7. Of course, if we played queen to d5, this would fail due to queen to e7 or knight to d6 hitting our bishop and also defending the pawn on f7. So here we want to sacrifice our bishop again, and after king takes f7, then we deliver a check on d5, and after king to e8, we don't want to grab the knight immediately as black is going to block with his queen, and we are going to force to go to an endgame. Here we want to play queen to h5 check to force the king to go to e7, as if black played pawn to g6, then we are going to go queen to e5 check and win the rook on the corner and just win the game. So here black is forced to play king to e7, and after king to e7 we want to play queen to e5 and let the black king go queen to f7. And now of course if we want a draw, we can just repeat moves, but who wants a draw in a checkmating position? We want to also keep punches and keep throwing punches at black and play aggressively after queen takes e4 and play for the win. So here black might play something like queen to e7 to trying to trade the queens. Of course, when you gambit or when you trying to attack or when your opponent king is on the center and can't castle, you just want to keep going after him. So here we want to play queen to c4 check to not let the black king run to the g8 square, and also if black plays queen to e6 trying to trade queens again, we want to take on c7 and never let the chance for black to trade pieces. So here of course we are not worrying with this trade because this will help us improve our pieces more, and after bishop takes b2 we are going to just develop normally and easily. White is going to castle and have a great life, while black king is suffering on the center of the board. Now let's come back to our main position. After black grabs all of the pawns on d4 and c3 and b2, here the main move actually for black, which is the best move, which is to go pawn to d5, which is the best counter that you might face. Black in this position is saying, take one pawn and let me have an easy development. I don't want to get attacked super quickly. So here we want to take with our bishop. Of course, we don't want to take with our pawn, as if we take with our pawn, then we are blocking this diagonal from the bishop. So here black continues with knight to f6. Also keep in note that here bishop takes f7 does not win the queen. Bishop takes f7 just gives you an equal game after king takes f7, and then you win the queen on d8. Then black has this move, which is bishop to b4, delivering a check to the white's king and regaining the queen on the next move. So here you want to block again with your queen to not lose a piece. And after bishop takes d2, knight takes d2, defending the pawn on e4, then this is really a messy position or a messy endgame. You have a 4 on 2 on the king side, and black got 3 on 1 on the queen side. But in the main fact, this game should be equal, and no part should be worse at this position. That's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to check how to play the Jubava London if you like to play aggressively without sacrificing a pawn. So make sure to check our latest video we made on the Jubava London, and goodbye.